we're going to be going over advanced healthcare directives today in the Terri Schiavo case of the 1990s. A lot of times this advanced healthcare directive, it can be difficult to explain and give hypotheticals on. One of the best ways to learn is through real world examples. And everyone remembers Terri Schiavo from the 1990s. It was one of the most dramatic legal cases over the last 20 to 30 years. Ethics, the right to die, healthcare rights, all of that down in Florida, okay? And so in 1990, Terri Schiavo, who had a thriving life, suddenly went into cardiac arrest that led to a vegetative state, and it was a 15-year ordeal. At the outset, her husband, Michael Schiavo, and her parents, Robert and Mary Schindler, had a unified front, and they were all in agreement to render the best care for Terri. Well, some years went by, and by 97, 98, her husband, Michael, decided that she would not want to continue life at that point. And he felt that that would have went against her rights. And so he filed a petition with the trial court to have her feeding tube removed. She was being fed artificially, and that's how she was being kept alive. Her mom and dad felt that she wanted to continue to live, and so they petitioned the court for her right to continue to receive medical care and to keep the feeding tube in place. And then it exploded, the litigation. A couple years later, in the year 2000, the courts finally ruled with her husband, Michael, for the feeding tube to be removed. Her parents then filed a flurry of appellate petitions throughout the Florida courts. Federal trial courts got involved, and ultimately the courts did rule with Michael, and her feeding tube was removed, leading to Terri's death in 2005. 1990, she had a cardiac arrest, went into a vegetative state, and 15 years later, the woman finally passed peacefully after the feeding tube was removed. What did Terri actually want? We don't know. We don't know. The courts were put into a really impossible decision, and ultimately their rulings really landed on who was the legal guardian. And the closest kin in the Florida court's viewpoint was the spouse, Michael Schiavo. He made the final call. They heard exhaustive testimony. But the bottom line is the Florida Supreme Court, appellate courts had to get involved all over this decision of her healthcare rights. This is why estate planning is so important. It's not just about our legacy, the trust and your will, your assets and your property, and making the legacy around your life. It's also about protecting your healthcare rights and your dignity while you're living. That's what the Tennessee Advanced Healthcare aims to do. There's 8 different scenarios, treatment options, a variety of conditions such as a coma, such as permanent unconscious condition, permanent confusion, collapse of ADLs. If you're in a terminal condition, what type of treatment would you want? Would you want your healthcare team to continue to proactively engage with you and keep you living? Or would you want to die with dignity, or perhaps have hospice involved earlier? We don't know what Terri wanted. Courts are fact finders, okay? They're not God. They don't know what our mind, what we want. That's why having our life shields, our advanced healthcare directive, and our healthcare and financial power of attorneys are so critical. I hope this was useful for you. Both sides, by the way, have written a book. Her parents, who opened up a foundation on the right to live. Her husband wrote a book from his perspective, along with some friends. The Schiavo case really does bring out hope, dignity, but importantly, the urgency of estate planning. I urge you to have those crucial conversations with your family as you go through the holidays. We love to represent your family. Just give us a call, and don't forget to subscribe.